Hello and welcome to the Geeks of Mucklebee. My name is Nick. I'm one quarter of the Geeks of Mucklebee.
My name is Rose and I'm one quarter of the Geeks of Mucklebee.
My name's Oliver and I'm one quarter of the Geeks of Mucklebee.
And I'm Laura and I'm one quarter of the Geeks of Mucklebee.
And we have all of us. Okay, so as you can see, slightly different. We're all dressed to go out the door, and the reason why that is because we are about to leave and go and see
Jumanji!
The next level.
Geeks of Mucklebee.
The next level. So this is this is just the intro to our review. We're going to go and watch the film, and then after the film, we're going to give some quick thoughts back to the camera afterwards, and then I'll do a bit more in depth and bookend it. So welcome to our first ever movie review.
Yes.
We'll see you on the other side. Hello and welcome to the review part. I threw myself there. I just looked down and I was like, ugh. So this is the review part. I've just spliced the intro part, which was the bit that we recorded before we went to the film, and now I'm recording the actual nuts and bolts of it. So here will be the itinerary for, let's get this right, if I can pull it back, there we go. Here will be the list of how the interview will go. It'll be who it's intended for. We're going to go through the overview, a bit of the history of the budget and everything else, the cast, overview of the story, and then basically its strengths, its weaknesses, any special mentions, and then the final impression. So this is going to be a review for the people that are thinking about whether they should see the film or not, or if they were a fan of the first film and they are considering, should I go and see the film? Let me be clear, this is going to be as spoiler free as I can make it. I'm pretty much sure there's nothing spoiler in it. I think most of the stuff that I'm covering you can see in the trailers. So if you haven't seen the trailers, that's the only thing. So, but as spoilers free as I can make it. After I've done this segment, it's going to cut back to the four of us, and we give the films a rating. We rate the first film and we rate the second film to give you some sort of benchmark of where we think this film is. So, this is produced by Sony Pictures. This is the review for Jumanji, The Next Level, which is a follow-on from the 2017 smash hit Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Now, I nearly missed Welcome to the Jungle because I thought, oh, do you know what? This is just another studio remake that I don't really want. There's no Robin Williams, don't need to see this film. What it turned out to be was a completely successful reboot of a franchise where the humour and the casting and the acting was completely on point. So the first film was kind of counter-programming for Star Wars. It was kind of like, well, if people don't want to go Star Wars, let's put this up alongside it. It actually came in on a budget of about 190 to about 120 million. That's a production budget. Of course, all the advertising has to go on top. It made nearly 962 million at the box office, just narrowly missing the billion club mark. So extremely successful, even if you turn around and said they spent 150 to 300 million on advertising, it over doubled its money. So hugely successful film, and that's even before it's got to the very lucrative streaming and download DVD market, which it would have done extremely well at. So without a doubt, there was always going to be a number two. So this film has a lot riding on its shoulders more than the first one did. The budget has grown ever so slightly. It's about 132 million, and of course advertising costs are on top of that. And it's done extremely well already. I don't know if you'd call it the first weekend figure, but it's reported as being over 220 million already, so it's covered its production costs. And again, it will be extremely successful on streaming and DVDs and all of that sort of thing. So this film will continue to make money for Sony. So we have got a continuance for this film of the director. It's directed again by Jake Kasdan, who is son, I think, to of course, Star Wars fans, Lawrence Kasdan, who done the best Star Wars film in Empire Strikes Back. But Jake, as one of his credits is Bad Teacher, which I've never seen, but I pulled that one out of on the list because on a budget of 20 million, it done over 200 million at the box office. So 10 times its money, you can't grumble. We've got a return of Gyula Pados for and I hope I've said the name right, for the cinematography, and he is noted for the last two Maze Runner films. So that might have something that you can relate to. We've got a return of the Henry Jackman as the composer, who has done X-Men First Class, Wreck-It Ralph, Winter Soldier, so fairly big movies. And we've got a slight change in the editing team. First time round it was by Mark Helfrich and Steve Edwards. This time round it's Steve Edwards on his own. And Mark Helfrich, he had done the Rush Hour 1 and 2 and Last Boy Scout, which are films that I really enjoy. So the core of the what you would say the main ones that you would pick out, I guess, from a production side has continued over. So you've got a balance running between the two films. In the cast, we have got a return of Jack Black, Karen Gillan, Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Nick Jonas. As the main avatar, we've got as the kids, we've got Madison Eisman returning as Bethany. We've got Sedaris Blaine as Fridge. Who else have we got? Alex Wolff is Spencer, and Morgan Turner is Martha, and Alex is Colin Hanks. So they are the ones that were in the real world as we would know it, and then obviously you've got then as they take on the avatars, because Jumanji is now no longer a board game, it's a video game, and people get digitally sucked into by the magic of Jumanji into the computer game and become the avatars, which is Jack Black, Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart and co. And then we've got the notable additions. We've got the Aquafina, who's come in as a avatar called Ming Fleetwood, who is a specialist in pickpocketing and sleight of hand, all of that sort of stuff, kind of like your cat burglar, as it were. And she's brilliant. No, I can't recall what I've seen her in before, but she is particularly good. And then you've got Danny DeVito and as Grandpa Eddie, very amusing, great physical comedy. And then you've got the statesman in Danny Glover, who's always value for money, Danny Glover. And he comes in as the very gentlemanly Milo Walker, who is Grandpa's Eddie's estranged business partner. And their friendship has taken a strain from what has gone before, and they've not been in touch with each other for 15 years. You've also got, let's have a look, Rory McCann has come back, and is a new character, and he is the big bad for this film, which is Jürgen the Brutal. So that's who we've got coming in. So that's the cast. So the overview, and this is where I'm going to try and be as least spoilerific. So we basically start off, and we have Spencer struggling with day-to-day life, struggling for relevance, happiness, they've all moved on. They're at the next stage of education now, doing dead-end jobs. His relationship with Martha has, the distance is causing an issue. And then you've got a reunion taking place for the holidays, and the guys are all in touch with each other. And Fridge, Martha, and Bethany all hook up, with Spencer supposed to be there as well. I'll jump back just a second. And so Spencer comes back for the holidays and knows he's got this reunion. And Grandpa Eddie's now living in his room because he's now recovering from a hip surgery. And they get to having a conversation late on at night, and it's just evident that the conversation with Grandpa is just fueling his unhappiness at the situation he finds himself in. He's disenchanted with where he is. It feels like he's lost Martha, and he's thinking back to the earlier time of Jumanji and how that made him feel, because that was a time where he obviously felt that he was succeeding, and Dr. Bravestone made him feel brilliant. So he's now longing for that kind of moment, almost that crazy period, that defining moment again. So inexplicably, he rescued the console that we saw being destroyed in the first film, at the end of the first film, and he's reconstructed it in his basement, as you do. So he's now, that night, he activates it and he goes back into the game. So next day, the guys hook up and they're getting back acquainted, and it's kind of a case of, have you heard from Spencer? And they've all realised they've not heard from him. He's not there. It's very out of character, and they get a little bit worried, and they go round to Spencer's house, where they come upon Grandpa Eddie, who's in the middle of being very disgruntled with a freshly arrived Milo Walker, and you get the strong impression that Milo Walker is completely unwanted there, and that their previous relationship, something caused a big division between the two of them, and to do with their best business venture in a restaurant. So the guys kind of knock, and it's like, hey, how are you? Where's Spencer? Nobody knows where Spencer is. Then the guys hear the drums, and they're just like, no, what's going on? The Jumanji drums. They go down into the basement, and then it's kind of, they realise what's happened. And, you know, Bethany is kind of like, we've got to go do this. Fridge is like, are you crazy? Anywho, they end up in the game. They activate it. But of course, because the console was broken, the game is not working as it should. And Grandpa Eddie and Milo Walker, as per the trailer, gets sucked into the game. Then when they get sucked in, you've got the realization that not everybody is the character that they were before. You have the orientation, which is all a highly amusing part of the film, where it's kind of like the older guys, the Danny DeVito and Danny Glover, who are now Kevin Hart. Danny Glover is now Kevin Hart, and Danny DeVito is now Dwayne Johnson. And they're getting to grips with their new bodies, mobility, the fact that they're in younger, stronger bodies again. One albeit being shorter, and the way that Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson do their impression of Danny DeVito and an aged Danny Glover is brilliant. You know, it's Kevin Hart, hugely underrated, and he's delivering his monologue, and he's you know, taking his time when he's saying things, because the elderly people sometimes tend to take their time to make the point. and in a high intensity situations, not exactly what you need. You've got Danny DeVito in the Rock's body, as it were, and he's kind of like, he's not been the most mobile, obviously hip replacement and all the rest of it. All of a sudden, he's a very able-bodied. You've got Fridge dealing with the dismay that he's now a fat old white bloke. And you've got Martha relatively relieved that she's still Ruby Roundhouse. They are trying to figure out, where is Spencer and where is Bethany? So off they go. You know, it's a harsh induction to the loss of lives, and it rattles along fairly quickly. You know, from there they come across ostriches, and that is a brilliant sequence. They go through it, and very well put together as they get to grips and kind of realise what they've got to work as a team, what their limitations are as a team. And that's kind of level one, and they kind of come through, and then obviously, and then they move on, and they discover that they've got new skills. There's linguistics for Moose Finbar, Kevin Hart. He's now he can now talk to the animals to great effect. We have nunchucks for Ruby Roundhouse. So there's just additional bits, and there's a new weakness for Dr. Bravestone. And it's just brilliantly played. I think particularly Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson, their portrayal of their characters, of how they think Danny DeVito and Danny Glover would play these avatars. So they're acting and acting again. It's just brilliant. I think the one who, you've got a brilliant turn by Karen Gillan. She's such value for money, such a lovely, beautiful woman. And she, when she keeps it, just like she did in the first film, where she's trying to get her hair out of her face and kind of, I'm back here, and the self-consciousness, the awkwardness that she plays. Morgan Turner's character, she obviously watched Morgan Turner and took how Morgan Turner portrayed that awkwardness for her character. She took that on board with, with the self-consciousness about how she's dressed and all the rest of it. And she does a brilliant job, I feel, Karen Gillan. And her accent, because she's such a broad Scottish, she's got such a broad Scottish accent. For me, she's got that kind of neutral American accent so well that I bet there are Americans that do listen to her, and I'm kind of surprised that she's broad Scottish. It's the same with James McAvoy. He does it extremely well when he's doing that as well. We've then got Jack Black. Wow. For me, this is Jack Black's film. I think he has... but Awkwafina's extremely good. Out the original class, I think it's him. He lands in his fridge, and you could imagine, it's almost like in parts, somebody's done, when Sedaris is playing fridge, you can almost imagine, Jack Black has embodied him. And Jack Black then, when he goes back to Martha, when he goes back to Bethany, just constant character acting all the way through, and he does an extremely good job. Then you've got Jürgen the Brutal. I don't think you're going to overly remember the character, to tell you the truth, but he does a good job. There's no slight on the man at all. It's the part he's given. There's another baddie as well, which is the weakness to Dr. Bravestone, which is called Switchblade, which is kind of interlinked briefly into the story. But overall, they are then picked up again by Nigel Billingsley. Jumanji's in trouble, and this is where they open up the world. There's a gem that they've got to get. It's a different gem, and I'd imagine you're going to find a bit like like an expansion pack to a computer game where they bolt on another area. It's going to be that it isn't just one gem that keeps the balance in Jumanji. There's multiple, So it just allows them to kind of keep expanding. So they go through the orientation. They get brought up to speed. They then have their run-in with the ostriches, and they end up in the village. And this is where some great comedic bits come in. You know, you find Danny DeVito, who is Dwayne Johnson, as an old man suddenly discovering that he's got the strength of Mike Tyson and Rocky Balboa to the power of 10. And he's been told to kind of keep quiet, keep sentry, and trouble ensues. You've got Kevin Hart finding that he can talk to animals and spilling out their facts and taking his time to do so, to great comedic effect. And the story goes on, and their lives get eroded, and then it's kind of after they've got that, which is kind of the flame, and then it's the mandrels on the bridge that we've seen in the trailers, and it rattles through. And then you've got a beautiful moment where Madison Iseman is kind of stuck outside the game, and she goes to find Alex Colin Hanks, and it's kind of like, I need to get back in there. They're my team. And she doesn't want to be in there, but she wants, and it's a beautiful bit. And so then, you know, off they go, and how they come back in. He comes back in a seaplane, and as we've seen in the trailer, she's now a horse. And it's good. But because the game is faulty, they get changed around, and these actors then have to put on a different hat, and they do that brilliantly. And you've got a relationship between these characters that are them being portrayed by the Avatar characters. So you've got the grandson at one point you've got the grandson in Spencer and the grandpa in Danny DeVito being portrayed by Dwayne Johnson and Awkwafina. And you still get the absurdity of the visual of you're seeing portraying a grandson-grandfather relationship is completely offset by the fact that you're just watching a character and you're just completely accepting it. And you still get the emotional punch. Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson do a beautiful reconciliation between Danny DeVito and Danny Glover's characters, but they're portraying it, and that goes through. Awkwafina, her character, she starts off as Spencer, as the new Ming Lightfoot, and they find him in the village, and blah 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 blah. I don't want to give away too much. And then when they get their character juggle, she then takes on Danny DeVito, and it is a case of her portrayal of Danny DeVito is absolutely fantastic. She's brilliant, very very good. Very, very good. And she was a delight. She was a brilliant addition to the cast. To the point of, I would say, if you've ever seen Lost, it's probably the greatest thing that I could probably compare it to. The thing I loved about Lost is that it was a great ensemble cast. Both sexes, all races and religions portrayed, and I loved that. It just felt authentic, not contrived. They didn't do it in a contrived manner, but just authentic. And any character that they brought in, you grew to love really, really quickly. It's like if you go back and watch Lost, some of your favourite characters don't come in until about season 4, which is quite unusual. Well, I think Danny Glover, Milo Walker, and Awkwafina, you're going to want them in future films because they are that good. They are that enjoyable. They really did. They brought a benefit to the cast and helped it move forward. So that's the kind of overview of the film. Its strengths are the humour's brilliant, still on point, just like the first film. The humour is absolutely spot on. We laughed all the way through. We didn't notice. I didn't notice at all. The first film was 119 minutes. This film's 123 minutes. It whipped by. I didn't feel like I sat there in the cinema for 2 hours. So I always think that's a good sign. The kids absolutely adored it. Laura adored it. We'll give our scores afterwards, as you will see. So one of the strengths is its pace. I would say the strength is the acting. I think the acting that we get by the Avatar cast. Not to say that Madison Eisman, who was Morgan Turner, Sir Darius Blaine, Alex Wolff, Colin Hanks. They're all solid. They get more screen time. It felt this time. I think they do. I think they get more screen time this time, and they were rock solid in their characters. Really, really good. Really good. But I feel what the Avatar set of actors are doing in the Jumanji game, because the way that they're changing hats, they're doing character portrayals of their fellow actors, and some of them are changing character 2 or 3 times. They're really good. They are really, really good. And at the heart of this story is are a couple of emotional threads. It's kind of friendship, love, relevance, how do we fit in, the importance of each other. And I think in today's world, that's so important. I know I can be a bit, you guys that have watched me for a while, I can be a bit hippie, I guess. But life is hard enough, and the world can be ugly enough. And we all have our own little influence. We can either be a little ray of sunshine, we can be a bit of positivity, or we can be a snuffer and block out the light. And for me personally, I want to be positivity. And this film is a bit of positivity. And there are going to be people that will try and snuff it out. Its critic scores are not great. It's in the 50s and 60s, and I've got to say I found that to be particularly harsh, because its cinema scorers, which are people that have turned up, is at A-, and I would say critics can be very, very sniffy. It's kind of a case of Emperor's New Clothes with a lot of them. They are, oh yes, I'm a student of film. I just love the way that he portrayed the sense of darkness by keeping the screen absolutely black for an hour and a half, and then about 50 minutes all you heard was the character fart, and I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. It just gave you pitch, dimension, and the timbre of that fart was absolutely amazing. 99 out of 100. Just give them the Oscar. And I even loved the way that they just ended the film right in the middle without any sort of conclusion. How artistic, how edgy, you know. That's what they're like. They kind of miss the point sometimes that you like to go to the cinema, to spend time with your family, and just allow it to entertain you. Sometimes it doesn't have to solve the world's problems. Sometimes it can give you a gentle reflection on what's important, but just be there to entertain you and amuse you. And I feel that that's what this film does. That said, there are weaknesses. I would say the film's weakness has got nothing to do with the cast. It's got nothing to do with the cinematography. I would say it's a slight pace issue combined with a writing issue. And that for me would be, and this is no way, I would say this is no way to stop you from seeing the film, as you will see from our scores afterwards. But I want you guys to be able to trust me to give you an honest assessment. If I was to be absolutely honest, I think that the weakness is when they are trying to create stakes in this film, they try to do so at a real breakneck speed. It's like we've got 5 avatars here on 3 lives. Let's get through it. And I think not every avatar always has to get down to 1 life. That's one thing I would just, if anyone ever saw this from their creator, you don't always have to get down to 1 life. But the speed at what they did get down to 1 life happens fairly quickly, and then you're like, right, you think this is going to play a certain way, and your brain thinks, right, because it I read into a lot of things, and you're like, right, This is building up for something. And I'm not going to spoil it or whatever. You'll be able to predict it. And it doesn't quite go how you think it's going to go, but you're not too surprised. And I think because of what's in your head would be slightly more dramatic than what actually happens. You go, okay. And I think that's it. That they set it up and it doesn't really deliver the punch. And the best way to describe that is I think Nick Jonas in the first film really delivered that sense of bleep just got real. Yeah, this has just got kind of, I've got one life left. I've been stuck in here for 20 years because I can't get past that. And do you know what? I can't even risk it anymore. And there's a real fear about trying to do this next bit. I don't feel they do that as well in this film. It's kind of like all of a sudden they're down to that bit and you don't carry the same sense of fear that something might happen. And they don't deliver it. And that's the one weakness in this film for me. But that is completely outweighed by the overall pace, the overall visuals. The effects are absolutely first class. I can't remember ever thinking, oh, that looks a bit off. The animals look great. The action is fantastic. These are all things that completely outweigh that small thing that I mentioned. And just at its core, camaraderie, heart, friendship, and good fun and good humour. And for me, it's worth the price of admission alone for watching Jack Black play 3 different characters. The wonderfully witty interplay between Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. The new take on the characters because of the different people they're portraying. The Karen Gillan is just badass. She's lovely. And it's just all the positives outweigh that one thing I said. So the special mention would be to Jack Black. I think Jack Black does an amazing job. I found the score to be very supportive of the emotion of the film. I found the cinematography, the visuals were brilliant. But for me, the special mention goes to Jack Black, who narrowly beats out Awkwafina because her portrayal of Danny DeVito is worth a ticket in itself. She is brilliant, guys. So my final overview is we went as a family of 4. You've got 40-year-old man, mid-30s lady, 2 teenagers, boy and girl, and we were all entertained. It calls itself Jumanji the Next Level, and I honestly feel that this took it to the next level. Keep an eye out for the cutscene. There is an in-credit scene. Keep an eye out for that. Makes it interesting as to what's to come. And just go and be entertained. If you like the first film, have no doubt you're going to love this film. And if you was okay on the first film, I think you should like this next film more. It feels bigger. It feels they delivered more. It felt more of a story. It felt more locations. I felt it was good. And so I'm now going to stop there. Thank you for watching my extraordinarily long. I'm here because my kitchen is freezing. I don't know why it's so cold. But anyhow, and I'm now going to hand over and jump back in time to us giving you the scores. So guys, I would really like to know if you intend to go and watch this film, if you've watched this review, please do get involved with us. Put the comments down below, and I want to see if you agreed with me on the film. I want to know, because I just want to get a barometer for how did they find the review? Did they find I was too negative? Did they feel I was too positive? Are you going to go and see it? let me know in the comment section down below, because our channel is about community, so I want to hear from you. My next review is the Rise of Skywalker. And I'm wondering if the fans of Jumanji are going to leave the cinema a lot more happy than the fans of Skywalker, the fans of Star Wars. I'm guessing it might be the case, but I'm just gonna go there and I'm gonna clean slate and say, JJ, entertain me, sir. That's all I need. It's no mystery. It's Star Wars. I want lightsabers and space battles. That's it. Right. That review, like this review, will be on our Patreon page first. Those guys, thank you AJ, thank you Laser for supporting us. They get early access, and there are other benefits. They'll be getting our emails, our pictures and other bits. We will be building it once we've got a bit more idea of what we're doing as a channel, once we understand if people are supporting us. If you want to support the channel, make your way over to our Patreon page, become a patron, or find us via our PayPal. Both are in the description down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll now hand over to us doing the scores. I'll see you soon. I'll see you on the next one. Fingers crossed for Rise of Skywalker. Take care, guys. Bye. Okay. We are now back from the... Was you going to say hello? We are now back after seeing Jumanji. And what did we think?
It was really funny.
good.
It was
Really
hilarious.
Really good. Actually, you guys should already know this. So this is the bookend. So basically, this is now me handing back and Usher's giving us the scoring.
Yeah.
And whether we loved it. Yeah. So what we'll do quickly is whether it's a avoid it, a Sunday streamer, you know, where you've brought your streaming service and just because there's nothing else on your stream it, so it's okay. It has to go into your DVD collection because it's good and you're going to want to have it in your DVD collection. Or box office, go and see it. So, Rose.
Box office, go and see it.
Oliver.
Box office, go and see it.
Laura.
Box office, go and see it.
And I would say, if you enjoyed the first Jumanji film, box office, go and see it.
It's so funny.
It is so funny. There is there is nothing about this one that you're going to dislike. As I've already covered in the review that I'm going to do, film tomorrow, but put the section in between. So, important bits now. Let's just give the people an idea. So, the first film, I'm going to kick this off on the first film. So just to get so you've got some sort of context for it. The first film, the first Jumanji, I would score a good solid 84, a great solid 84. That's where I would place it. It's a really good film. Done everything great, unexpected hit. That's a go and see it sort of thing.
And it was funny. That was funny too.
I would go for 85.
85.
89.
89?
Yeah, I'd give it an 85.
Okay, so there you go. We've got nearly the mid to high 80s. So a brilliant film. Now, guys, Jumanji 2. It's Jumanji, the next level. Has it leveled up?
I would rate it
Go for it.
94.
94.
I think I'd join him on that one.
I am going to say 95 because I almost cried with laughter. No, actually, I did wipe a tear from my eye with laughter.
Just
it
once.
was so funny.
Okay, yeah,
So
I'll
funny.
join you with 95.
Okay, and I would say a 91. So, there you have it. Jumanji is a box office hit.
Definitely go see it.
I think it's going to hit the billion club. I do. I think, or it should, because I think it's that good. If you enjoyed, everybody that went to see the first Jumanji, this is a family film. There's going to be no disappointment with it. Hopefully I've covered this all in the review. I think you're going to sit there and it's going to be great fun. We went to The View, didn't we? We saw it at The View, which is a cinema chain in the UK. And the four of us all watched that for £22. So if you're out there, we've been to the Odeon in years gone by, and that's like nearly 50 quid. So we were very comfortable. Seats were great. Screen was lovely and big, wasn't it? Sound was great. So absolutely no issues there. Well done, View.
Expensive snacks, so
Yes, make sure you
go to Asda first.
or other supermarkets. But the film itself, thoroughly entertained. If you're going to go and see a film over the Christmas period, we know we've got another one coming up, which we will also be watching and reviewing. But go and see this one. You will not be disappointed. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Funny. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, there we go. That was our ratings, our scores.
Yes.
You
Scores
guys,
are in.
You got your scores in. You guys were awesome.
So are you.
You guys were great. Thank you for watching. If you liked our review, please hit the like button. If you loved our review, please hit the share button. If you want to see more from us, then please hit the subscribe button. And thank you for watching. But most importantly, please leave a comment in the section down below and tell us what you thought of it and what your score was. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.